Hey everybody, this is Dave from Pwcbrackets. So today we're going to talk about two different speakers real quick. I'm just trying to give you the answers and explain some things to you guys and kind of give you guys a better understanding of what we sell, what's on the market, kind of give you a better idea of what you're getting into. So we have a couple. I'm only going to talk about two different tweeters right now. There is some other ones like compression drivers. We do have a version for that, but we'll talk about it in a different video. But today we're going to talk about a titanium dome tweeter or bullet tweeter, and then we'll talk about a silk dome tweeter. Okay, I'll kind of tell you the pros and cons of what I think. This is the Recoil M3. It's a great speaker. This is a marine-based speaker. This is going to be very similar to what you're going to find in like JL Audio or now Garmin, Kicker, Fosgate. They sometimes run. Most of them run these type of dome tweeters. It's like actually a silk dome. What they call it. It's like a PPI. It's actually not really silk. They use a polymer that's very similar to silk. But basically, you can kind of see it. It's a silk dome tweeter. These are very nice. These are going to be very efficient speakers. The reason why a lot of people like them is they're a little bit smoother sounding. So they're not so harsh on the, but they are smoother sounding. Now, the pros is that it does sound a little smoother. The problem with that is they typically don't handle as much power as the titanium tweeters typically. Basically, what's going to happen is as you start going up in speed, you really need power to overpower the wind noise. So if we can't run that much power to those, for example, this speaker holds about 80 watts of RMS power, which is going to be comparable to like the GL Audio with 75 watts. The Fosgate is like 80. The Kicker, I think, is like 90. They're all around that 75 to 100 watt range. That's a great speaker. It's great if you can have like 6 of them, guys. But we don't have 6. We have a jet ski. We can maybe put 2, 4, maybe 6 if you're like me and just do crazy stuff. But for the normal customer, we're only running 2. So that brings us to the next point. What's the disadvantage? Not that much power handling. And I can assure you that there's a big difference between 75 to 100 watts and 250 to 300 watts. There's a huge difference, okay, guys? You can't replace power. Power on this particular application is king. And what I mean by that is when you're on the water doing 60 miles an hour, you need power to push through the wind. And typically those sounds that you're hearing are not bass. Bass is not transmitted through the wind, guys. I don't care what you do. We have subwoofers. I got a subwoofer on mine. I don't hear it past about 25, 30 miles an hour. Bass frequencies, low frequencies do not translate to your ear when you're doing 60 miles an hour, okay? That's the unfortunately the trade-off. Now, if you want to play it while you're posted up, like in a place like this, sure, we can get some bass. Sure, we can get a little bit of mid-bass. But we're not trying to focus on that. We need to focus on good, clean mids and highs and vocals. That 400 hertz range. Those are the vocals. Those are the ones you're going to hear while you're riding at high speeds. In comes in the titanium tweeter. So this is a titanium bullet tweeter. Basically, the difference in this is the diaphragm is the titanium diaphragm. So they call it. They make them out of aluminum, mostly titanium diaphragms. But the reason why is it's a ribbon. It's extremely efficient and high powered. So we can run almost twice the power on this speaker that we can on that speaker. This is considered what they call a pro audio speaker. So basically what's happening is we don't have the plastic basket. It is going to be metal. There is advantages and disadvantages of that as well. Advantage is I can run twice the power. This speaker right here handles about 150 to 200 watts of RMS power. Twice the power of our marine grade speaker. The other reason why is this uses a carbon fiber or paper cone. Sometimes you'll see them in paper. We are working on, this is my new prototype. This one's made out of carbon fiber. As we start making this particular material heavier out of plastic or polymer or carbon fiber, anything that's going to be heavier than paper, we're going to start losing decibels. It's just the nature of the game. We can't, it's harder for that motor to resonate the sound easier, right? So that's where that comes into a problem. Typically when you're buying in like a marine type speaker, whether it be Kicker, Garmin Audio, or JL, whatever you want, or Kicker, if they're made out of plastic, they're typically going to handle less power. It's going to be very hard for you to find a marine grade speaker that's capable of handling 200 watts of RMS because of the material they're made out of. So that's when we started coming up with a pro audio version, which basically is waterproof paper. Yes, it is waterproof. It's water resistant. It does work great. The good news is that typically when you buy in pro audio speakers, they're going to cost is going to be about half the price of a marine speaker. So you got half the price, twice the power, but you may have to replace them twice as often. What I mean by that is That marine speaker may last you for 5 years. It may last you 2 years. It may last you 1 year. Depends on how often you ride, how much you ride, if you're riding freshwater, saltwater, and that's going to be across the board with JL, Kicker, Fosgate. They don't guarantee anything past a year or 2 years because they know that it's hard to beat these elements, guys. So with that being said, you have to ask yourself, do I want more volume, more power at higher speeds while I'm riding, or am I okay with okay sound? And put it in perspective. So let's say we use this speaker, okay, 75, 80 watts. The factory comes with a 40-watt system, so you're only doubling that. So yes, it's going to be way louder, guys. It's going to be very happy for most of my customers. But over here at PWC Brackets, we don't do okay sound. We do incredible sound. So we break that barrier of we have to think outside the box. These speakers are very good. The cool thing is like I said, I can replace typically about 3 to 4 sets of these for the price of one of those. So, you know, it's a little bit of work, right? You got to take 4 screws out, swap the speaker out, put a new speaker in, because it is possible that they will fail. It is possible that they may last longer. Depends on how you ride. If you clean your speakers, do you cover it up at night? Do you take care of your stuff? You know, so, you know, just because it has a metal basket and you can see some of the exposed terminals here, you know, I put dielectric grease on everything. I seal up my pods really good. Typically, you're not going to have a problem with them. As far as the paper goes, yes, it is waterproof. They've been coated with a Teflon type coating, and they typically have no problems lasting. Now, obviously, if you're pushing a bunch of bass through them and you're not crossing these things over, yeah, things can happen. They can start coming apart. But typically, no matter what we do, even with that speaker, at about 75 to 80 watts, we don't want to run that full range. You know, the lower the power, the more crossover we can add to it. So what I mean by that is, if we have that at 60 watts, we could probably run it full range. It's not gonna come apart. It's not gonna be farting all over the place. As we start increasing that power, we have to turn the bass down a little bit. This is just a normal thing across the board. Call an installer, get on the forums, ask them. If you're running 200 watts on this speaker, you're not running it full range. If you're running 200 watts on that speaker, you're damn sure not running full range. Or if you buy a JL or Kicker, you're not gonna run that full range. First of all, I wouldn't suggest running that as much. It doesn't come down to the speaker being able to hold it. It comes down with heat dissipation. These can dissipate heat a little bit faster than these because they're basically sealed. So all the heat is within there. It's hard for this heat and the temperature of that coil to basically dissipate. It's different from metal and plastic. You know, metal has a much better way of, or aluminum baskets have a better way of dissipating the heat. But with that being said, hopefully that answers some of your questions. Advantages, once again, way more power, going to be way louder. Now, some people don't like the sound of a titanium tweeter because they are extremely harsh. They're not soft sounding. They are definitely going to be what they call ear fatigue. Sometimes they get your fatigue in your ear because you're hearing that. It's very aggressive. However, you'll appreciate the aggressiveness when you're doing 50, 60 miles an hour. Again, those are not going to sound bad. Silk Dome sounds incredible. It would also be awesome if I could put 10 of those on a boat. Then we're really talking about some good quality, clean sound. But, you know, quality on a jet ski is it's kind of like you got to pick your poison, right? Do you want to hear it while you're riding fast, or do you want to hear it while you're sitting in the garage? We could still get good quality out of these speakers by, you know, using our crossovers and adjusting the amp properly. But it is going to be a lot harsher with this type of tweeter. But you appreciate it when you're going fast. So hopefully that answers some of your questions. Ride safe, ride loud. If I can answer any more questions for you guys, please feel free to comment, and I can try to answer any questions you guys may have. We do run both of these type of speakers. I prefer myself a particular titanium dome tweeter or a compression driver. Again, we will do another video about compression drivers to explain the difference in those. Compression driver is a whole nother beast, a whole nother monster. Ride safe, ride loud. See you guys on the water soon. Peace.